There are few very significant developments linked to the global crisis that we need to appreciate. Number one, this business of censorship, of aggressively blocking some certain points of view, has had the opposite effect of what was intended. Because the whole objective was for people to ignore those other points of view that have been censored, that have had videos pulled down. But let us be honest, what has happened instead? Instead, people have been even more curious. People have been even more supportive of those other alternate points of view. And to be honest with you, I'm very puzzled that anybody sat down and thought that by censoring and by blocking those other points of view, they would be able to be successful in making them less popular and less accepted. Because that is not human nature. It isn't. I mean, think about it for a minute. You tell your son, don't dare smoke, don't dare drink alcohol. And then you tell them, don't ask me why, just obey what I tell you. What do you think the result will be? It is just basic human psychology. What you have warned them and blocked them from doing is precisely what they want to do most. Number two, a vast majority of the human race are tired. They're very tired of lockdowns. And I'm not talking about those people who are hungry. No. I'm talking about those people who have no problem putting food on the table. They're just tired. Number three, a vast majority of people have come to the realization that the problems created by the lockdowns and the restrictions are much bigger than the problem we are trying to prevent. That is the virus. Now, what all this means is that the current situation cannot be sustained for much longer. And believe it or not, it now no longer matters what kind of casualties we're talking about. Oh yes. I find it very difficult to understand how people all over the world made an emergency decision to lock down, put certain restrictions in place, do all that without stopping to analyze human nature and the possible repercussions and reaction from humans as a result of the steps they took. I mean, all these people are very smart people. Much smarter than any of us. But didn't they consider that? It seems they didn't. Unless what they really were after were the inevitable chaos they knew would result. And here, it doesn't really matter what you believe. It doesn't matter whether you believe in the experts, the Dr. Fauci's and the rest, and the World Health Organization, or not. It doesn't matter. We're just analyzing what was done and what the results are. Because the results we're seeing were very predictable. The human race all over the world is resisting. And to make matters worse, the predicted number of casualties, grossly overblown, very huge, has not happened. Even where people have gone out of their way to label as many deaths as they can as being a result of the virus, still the numbers have not reached anywhere near the predicted numbers that caused the lockdowns in the first place. That is a fact. But the saddest consequence, by far, is that the damage done on economies the world over is irreparable. It will take years, maybe even decades, for some countries to recover. Even the richest, most prosperous economies in the world will take years to even start recovering. Still, in my opinion, this crisis has put Africa in a very good position. This crisis has given the continent of Africa an opportunity to re-engineer itself. Now, we have a petition here, which I hope you have signed, where we're petitioning the African Union to allow African solutions to African problems, rather than what has been happening in the past, where we look to the West for solutions, when we have those solutions right here in Africa with us. And of course, I know that the African Union is a toothless bulldog, dependent on the West. But the truth is, political pressure, can work. Political pressure from the masses can make all the difference. I believe the time has come, for us to hold our leaders to account. I believe the time has come for us Africans to take our own destinies in our hands and not leave it to leaders. Our African leaders who have always let us down. And so I believe if that petition has enough numbers, it will have an impact. And whatever happens, it will be a very good beginning. A beginning for Africans to wake up. It should be abundantly clear, that we in Africa are on our own. There's nobody who's really interested in the welfare and the well-being of us Africans. They're just interested in things which don't directly benefit us. Our resources, getting them at a pittance. And of course, reducing our huge, threatening numbers. That should be crystal clear to every African who can use his brain to think. And it is even clearer that if we, the people of Africa, do nothing, then what is coming for us? I don't even want to think about it. And so my passionate appeal today is that whatever your personal views are on what is really going on globally with this crisis, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter as much as the future of Africa, the future of your children whom you love, indeed the future of our continent. Trust me, history is going to judge us very harshly if we do nothing now. So please go straight to that link, the description area of this video, and sign that petition. Now, there's another super interesting development. The World Health Organization has violently, aggressively resisted the Madagascar solution. Herbal remedies in Africa are as old as time. They have been proven by the harshest judge of them all, time. Unlike what we import from the West, herbal remedies don't have any side effects. And that is why it is even more interesting that the World Health Organization, led by an African, it's an African who's the Secretary General, has strongly resisted and rejected any solution coming from the continent of Africa. Which to me is proof that the World Health Organization and their friends are very determined that the world should get only one solution and one solution alone: vaccination. And that should make any African, whatever you believe, whatever side of the argument you are on, that should make any right-thinking African extremely suspicious. And there are many other things that should make Africans suspicious. For example, this concern about Tanzania refusing to lock down, this great concern from Western countries, to the extent where they're ready to desperately sponsor propaganda and lies, to be able to prove their point, to be able to put more pressure on President John Pombe Magufuli to immediately lock down Tanzania. That too is extremely suspicious. Think about it. These people are not concerned about Africans. Yeah, these people have predicted massive number of deaths in the continent of Africa, which has not happened. Yeah, thank God. So, does it make sense for them suddenly to be very interested in what is happening in an African country called Tanzania? It doesn't make any sense to me. What we must do should be very obvious by now. We must stand our ground and say no to solutions from the West. Yeah, and make our own decisions as the continent of Africa. And remember, yeah, we're already in very serious trouble. Yeah, hunger and starvation on the continent is now a very worrying, looming problem. Which means we don't have the luxury of time on our side. We need to act, and we need to act as soon as possible. Almighty God bless Africa and save her at this moment of great need. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.